live. I'm using the new Facebook platform. So if anybody is live with me, just type in the chat box because the new Facebook, I had to keep waiting on it to load, and then the screen keeps, blinking. So I'll just take a few seconds just to see if anyone will type in the chat box. I can't see any. I know a few persons said that they would have come on live today, so maybe you might be joining later. If not, I will go ahead and just start and you'll have to catch up on the replay. I just want to know if you can hear me because it's the new Facebook platform and there was a problem with the video loading, not sure what's going on, and finally got it to load. I have to try myself and see if I can hear myself on my phone. The notification hasn't come out that I've gone live. I really don't want to start and then persons aren't hearing. I can't even see it in the Facebook group. I'm not sure what's going on with Facebook. You can hear Kadia. Thank you so much, Kadia. You answered my prayers. Thank you so much because my screen is blinking all the time and I'm not sure. I'm so glad you can hear me. Welcome, Emma. The screen keeps blinking. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to continue teaching, but can you guys see me clearly? Is everything fine on your end? Thank you, Emma, for letting me know. Thank you, Kadia. So I'm just going to start. I'll officially start. Thanks for letting me know because it's the new Facebook platform. Thank you, Quinette. Thank you so much. It's the new Facebook platform, and I had to be waiting for the live video for like 1 or 2 minutes before I could actually get on, and then the screen keeps blinking. So welcome, Kadia, welcome Emma, welcome Quinette. I hope Ash could make it. I know we had a few people who said that they're very much interested in launching their coaching business. Let me see Gina, Tammy, David, Kalisa. I hope that you guys could make it because you're also interested in launching your coaching business. I'd like to welcome you to this week's training. I'm Dr. Melissa Tranquille. You can call me Melissa. I'm the founder of MT Training Enterprises Limited. Now, I'm really, really excited this evening because this evening it's a special training. I have been sharing these 7 steps with my list during the week. But for those who are here to get it live, I mean, it's even more powerful than reading it, isn't it? To be at the live training, and then of course I can expound and go into more detail when necessary. So if you're excited to be here, just type excited. Let me feel the energy. So while you're doing that, I'll let you know the format of tonight's training. So I'm going to commence by teaching, but if you have a question, if you want to make a comment, just feel free to continue to post that question in the chat box. And then from time to time, I'll refer to the chat box. It's not a problem. And we'll have a live Q&A at the end, and I have a special announcement at the end also. So welcome to tonight's training. And before I start, I just want to encourage, for those of you who are here right now, and even for persons who may be watching the replay of this training, I want to encourage you to imagine that you've just paid £6,000 for the training that you're about to receive, because I'm going to go all in and give you value. And usually when we actually pay for something very dearly, we tend to give it our full attention or pay closer attention. The reason being is, what I'm going to share with you tonight, well, it's 7 p.m. here in the UK. I know it's 2 p.m. Eastern by Kadia and Emma and by Quinette, but nonetheless, what I'm going to share with you tonight, it is at least some foundation that if you want to start your online coaching business, you have great clarity and you have a foundation. Wonderful, Kadia. Thanks for letting me know. So you're invited to take as much notes as you would like. You're invited to ask questions. And yes, let's begin the training. Now, one of the things about my training is that I do give a lot of value. And for persons who have been following me for quite a while, Emma can attest to it. You know that I do go all in and I do give value. I give a lot. And I also, why I do these trainings is because I want people to see what it is like if they get a chance to work with me, what it is like working with me. So we are here tonight to talk about the 7 steps to creating an online coaching business. Now, the coaching industry, and I'm sure if you've attended the webinar, you would have heard me mention this statistic, but it is a booming industry. From realbusiness.co.uk, I think they said it's an $11.6 billion industry. It's an expanding industry. And I believe, even though now it's challenging times in the world right now with coronavirus, I believe very sincerely that indeed there will be an increasing demand for coaches because more and more people need help. More and more people have problems. You have people who have financial problems. I mean, I'm not predicting doom for anyone, but we know this is how life is. People have lost their jobs and may consider a career change, so they might want a career coach. Some people may have straining on their relationships. They want a marriage coach, and or a life coach to help them get through, to build resilience, to build their confidence or their self-esteem because they want to restart looking for a job, that sort of thing. So more and more people need help in these challenging times, and it's an ideal time to start your coaching business. Why? Because once you've been able to get the pieces of your coaching business together, you're able to go out there and begin to work on visibility, which I'll be talking more about during tonight's training. So it is indeed an ideal time to start your coaching business so you can begin to give people the help that they need, and people can see how you can help them. Your responsibility, before I even go into the 7 steps, it's important to see that your responsibility as a coach is very important because you will be guiding people through turning their lives around in whatever niche that you're working in. You will become your client's biggest cheerleaders. You will not just hold them accountable, but you will also be the person that will be motivating them and helping them to stay on the right track. So I believe very sincerely that anyone who's taken on the responsibility to start a coaching business, you've taken on a very important responsibility because you'll be holding your client's hand and you will be guiding them to get them on the other side to achieve whatever goal that they have in mind, whether that goal, if you're a business coach, helping someone to start their own business or structure their business or grow their revenue. If you're a marriage coach, help them to improve their communication in their marriage. If you're a parent coach, teaching parents how to become better parents, how to counsel their children, how to build that relationship with their children. So, as a coach, you have a very, very important responsibility. Where the problem lies in the coaching industry is that many times we don't have all the pieces and we don't start off the right way. And in many instances, and I get this from other clients, from other coaches, various mastermind groups that I've belonged to, is that they're unable to get in front of the ideal client. And if you're unable to get in front of your ideal client, wouldn't you agree with me, Kadia and Emma and Quinette, wouldn't you agree with me that then you won't be able to help anyone? Because the person that you need to help, you're unable to get in front of them so that they can see how you can help them. So this is one of the trouble with the coaching business, and it's something Donald Miller refers to, the noise. There's so much noise out there. So you have to find a way to come out and stand out in the crowd, to get out of that noise. Because one of the greatest enemies, and I was recently reading this book, and I'll share it with you guys because it's a great book and I recommend any of you to get it. I was recently reading this book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And he was saying that one of the biggest enemy to your business is the noise. Noise is the biggest enemy. What does he mean? Well, number one, your client is already being, suffering from information overload. Number two, there are many people like you offering the same type of service. And that's where your unique selling proposition comes in. But we'll be getting to that. Number three, if you have not been able to clarify your message as a coach, and we'll be getting to that, I'm just summing everything up and giving an introduction. If you're not able to clarify your message as a coach, then you won't be able to stand out. Your message itself is confusion to your client. Does that make any sense? Your message itself will be more confusion and more noise for your client. So this is something I want you to bear in mind. You can write that down. The biggest enemy to your business, and even if you're here attending this training or you're listening to the replay, the biggest enemy for your business, even if you might have a different kind of business, is still the noise. And that's why you have to learn how you could stand out in the crowd and be in front of your ideal client, because of course there are enough clients for everyone, even though you might be in similar niche. So let us move right now to the 7 steps to starting your online coaching business. And you have to bear with me. You let me know how my training went this evening, because it's like a masterclass training I'm giving without any slides today. And I usually have slides. So let's see how good I can deliver tonight. But the 7 steps to starting your online coaching business, and I want to start with the first step. Now, the first step, although I've spoken on this step before, it is absolutely essential that you drill this step down. And that step involves 2 things: your commitment and your big why. And I won't be going deeply into it now, because I know many of you have heard me say this before. But you have to be 100% committed, because it is a process. And in going through that process, you need to have the resilience. You need to have that intrinsic motivation to keep going forward. So you have to be 100% committed to making the change that you want to make for your client. And this is where your deep why comes in. And I'm sure you would have heard me share on one of my previous trainings that your deep why should involve 2 elements. Why you want to do this. Why does Kadia want to start a coaching business? Why does Emma want to start a coaching business? Why? It involves 2 things. Now, many persons will say, well, I hate my job. And I've heard this before, and I'm sure perhaps you may have. I really hate my job, or I hate the 9 to 5. These are just outcomes. These are not the inbred deep reasons that will keep you motivated even in challenging times. That perhaps you may have to pivot in your business, and it will keep you going through those times. It has to be deeper than that. So it has to have, and this is what I believe sincerely, your deep why has to have a customer element, but also a personal element. So the customer element is the change you want to see in that client. You know, you've probably heard or seen, even on CNN, on the news, of persons who have had trauma or different experiences in their past, and they have used that story. The story became their passion, and they've used that story now to go out there and transform other people's lives. That's the big why, because they've been through it. You know, someone, for instance, who has been a rape victim and have been through it, and they've started a charity so that they could help other rape victims. That's the deep why. They want to transform people's lives. They want them to feel confident again. They want them to be healed and know that they can still move on with their life. But also that deep personal element may be, I want to leave a legacy behind for my kids. I want to leave a legacy behind for my family. I want to do something more meaningful and purposeful with my life. Does that make sense? And before I even want to give you all the technical stuff and the business and the strategic stuff to starting your coaching business, this foundation is important. You know, there's a group I belong to, a Facebook group. It has thousands of persons. And the coach who is the host of that group, he said, and he's making 7 figures, and he said, if he were to start his business all over again, this is what he would have started with: the mindset, going down and finding his big why. It took him 2 years before he actually took it very seriously. And I'll share something personal too. I attended a big business event recently, and there perhaps could have been about 200 to 300 people in the room. And the event started off with mindset. And I'm not even touching on mindset yet. I left that for last. I'm just touching on the little part of it, of your deep why. But this is interesting. This is just my observation. I'm not saying that people are generally like this. This is my observation at that event. And the event started with mindset. And the room was very quiet. And he kept saying, hey, you guys, wake up. The room is quiet. Then the next speaker, he now was going to speak on how to sell, how to craft your offer, and the room became very excited. And that was a very interesting observation for me because you find when it comes to mindset, people don't really take it as seriously until perhaps something happens and they recognize the value in sorting that mindset business out. And then, so I will encourage you to write that down. You have to sort out your deep why you want to go into this, because that is what is going to motivate you. That is what is going to be your driving force to get through the challenging times, and it will be the reason behind what you do. And then that will bring out your passion for what you do, because your commitment has to come from a place of passion. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Now let's move on to step 2. Step 2, now you have to decide. Once you have your commitment drilled down, then you need to decide how are you going to help your client. And part of deciding how you're going to help your client, you will find yourself falling into a niche. And I'm so sure many of you have heard it before, pronounced differently, different parts of the world. Thank you, Emma. Emma said it makes sense. Yes, good, Emma. So that involves you finding your niche. How are you going to help your client? Now, during the week, I sent out a wonderful worksheet that I designed to help persons find out, to determine the way they want to help their clients. And some of the things you can do to find out how you want to help your client if you're not already sure about which coaching area that you want to go into. Do you already know, Kadia, which area you want to go into? If you want to share it, feel free to share it. But the second step is deciding how you're going to help your client. And part of that involves a process of, you identify, draw up a table, and you identify in the first column the things you're passionate about. What are those things that you are passionate about? Maybe you're passionate about, I know Kadia works in HR, helping persons. You're passionate about seeing people becoming better skilled. Maybe you're passionate about seeing better marriages. Maybe you're passionate about, like Emma, people taking care of their health and their well-being. Maybe you're passionate about. So you have that first column where you write some of the things you're passionate about. Then the second column, you could write some ways that you would like to help people. And you could just jot down. Let it be a brainstorming session. Now, the beauty of a brainstorming session is that you don't go analyzing, you don't go reasoning. It's brainstorming. So brainstorming is like an outpouring. You're just pouring everything out. So you brainstorm and you write everything out, ways you would like to help people. And you can fall on that based on things you've done in the past. You can look at how have I helped people in the past. And perhaps, okay, like me, for instance, I've helped people a lot with the different academic assignments, or I've helped people by just being a listening ear to them, providing feedback, encouragement, coaching, motivation to them. So ways that you would like to help people, ways you've helped people in the past. You have a column for each of these, you write that down. Then, what are some of the things people usually come to you for? Now, if you look back, you will be able to identify some of the things people usually come to you for. I know people usually come to me for organization. It's one of my strong points. People usually come to me for. If people want, let's say they have an academic assignment working on and they need a workflow, how to approach it, how to start it, they come to me for that. They need editing done, they come to me for that. They need researching done, they come to me for that. What are some of the things that people usually come to you for? So look back in your life, and you could go as way back as you can remember, and just write everything down because you're brainstorming. These are some of the things that people usually come to you for. And then in the last column, I want you to write some of the things you're naturally good at. What are some of the things that you're naturally good at? Now, this exercise will greatly help you if you're unsure as to which area to go into for your coaching business. Or perhaps you already have a coaching business, but you've recognized, sometimes you get into business and you recognize the area that you've started with. And I've seen it several times that person has eventually switched to something else, because really and truly it has to come, like I've said before, from a place of passion. It has to come from that place of passion. So that is why this exercise will be beneficial for you, whether you've started your coaching business already, whether you have not yet started your coaching business. Thank you, Sasha. Welcome, Sasha. It's great to have you here. Sasha says it makes sense. Thank you very much. Appreciate the feedback. So whether you have a coaching business already or you want to start one, this is a great brainstorming exercise. Now, when you're through, you look at that table, and I can guarantee you this because I've done it. When you look at that table, you will see some commonalities. So when you look at the table and you look at, okay, things I'm passionate about, ways I would like to help people, things people usually come to me for, things I'm naturally good at, you will realize that certain things stand out. You will realize perhaps, a lot of people come to me for marriage advice, or, a lot of people, plus that's my passion. A lot of people come to me for help with their CVs, the application letter, that kind of administrative stuff to help them with their job advice, interview advice, and it's also something I'm passionate about. When you've analyzed that, so after your brainstorming session, you analyze that information. When you analyze that information, try to identify the things that stand out. And can you find anything that stands out that is also an area that you're passionate about? And then you choose one. So you choose one. Let's say, for instance, let's use someone who's weight loss. They realize, like, I remember, I use myself as an example. So before I started going into weight loss and helping persons, I used to record my own videos. I lost 50 pounds on my own. With my husband as a coach. Then I lost 25 pounds after my fourth child. So it's something that I have been passionate about, and it's something that people just would ask me for advice on. People would ask me for my advice. What do you think? Or you ask my opinion, and I recognize that, hey, there was a commonality there. It's something I enjoy doing, and I would do it for free. And usually when you find persons who have started a coaching business, you will find quite often that it is something that they will happily do for free because it comes from that place of passion. So let's put that exercise away. So when you've done that, then you will have found your niche. So if, for instance, you might find that your niche is in career, but that is not the final step. Once you've found how you'd like to help your clients, now you need to identify your client's problem. This is a two-part step in how you help your clients. Now, to find your client's problem, this is very important. You need to write this down. To find your client's problem, it's important that you remember that you want to solve a problem that is relevant to your client, not what you think that problem is. Because many times we as coaches, we sit down and we craft up something that we think is a problem. You actually need to get out there and do your research so that you can identify what I think Perry Marshall states as the bleeding neck problem. So you go into your forums, you go into Facebook groups. If you're allowed to run a poll, you run a poll. And sometimes you run a poll and not many persons participate. But if you were to scroll into that group, I do that a lot as well. I scroll and I just read comments in the group sometimes, and just to get that information. When you scroll and you read certain comments in the group, especially if it's a group in the niche that you want to be in, you can get great insight into what some people's frustrations are. For instance, I was scrolling into a group and I wanted to know how I would give back for my business with COVID-19, a way that I could give back. And it's through reading different people's comments. I recognize that many people found work from home being a stressor. They found it frustrating. Though it's a great time, it also has challenges. Some parents found it overwhelming. And that's why I started the COVID-19 work from home series. So you go into the groups, my friends. You go into the groups and you find out in the groups, or you can run a survey using SurveyMonkey. Or if you have a website, you want a survey on your website, you run a poll, go to forums, or you use Google AdWords. But the important thing is you are going out there to identify your potential clients' pain points. Does that make sense? You want to identify your potential clients' pain points. That's what's important. What is the problem that they want solved? And here are some things to consider. What are the problems that keep them up at nights? What are the problems that if they were to solve that problem, it will change their life? So these are some of the things that you need to find out. Now that you know how you help people in designing your coaching program, which we'll get to in a later step, is designed to solve a problem. Your coaching program is designed to solve a problem. And that's why you've identified how I want to help people. You've identified that, okay, I have some skills, some talent and ability in that area. I'm passionate about it. Now I need to find out what are the problems in that niche. And you drill down to a specific problem that you will solve. Because you find when you sub-niche, as they say it makes it easier. At first, I couldn't understand this, but then just like yesterday, it was day before. By the way, I have to send that Zoom invite. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn because she wants to schedule a meeting for us to have a chat about her business. It's when at first when I started, I didn't understand it because it seems incomprehensible. Why sub-niche? And some people even say niche down even more. Because when you niche down and you drill down, you ending up with just one thing that you do. But the thing about this is, my friends, is that clients will have clarity, and I'm going to get to that in another step. They will have clarity. They'll know exactly what is that one problem you solve, and it will be easy for your potential client to find you. So it gets rid of all that confusion. And that's why you have to drill down and niche down to that specific problem after you've done your research, which problem that you will solve. Now, it is possible as a coach that you could solve more than one problems, but there will be one that's your core, and there will be some that you develop training programs for, self-assessment or personal development programs for, you understand? But you have that core that you deal with. So that is the two things you need to consider in deciding how you want to help clients for step 2. Now let's move to step 3. Step 3 is absolutely essential. And how many of you have heard about creating your client avatar? You can just comment in the chat below. This is step 3. Once you've drilled down that you're 100% committed, you have your deep why, you've identified the problem that you would solve, that you are passionate about, and then you've done your research. You've done your research to come up with what exactly you will focus on. The next thing you need to do, my friends, is to know your ideal client. Now, how you know your ideal client is by creating. Okay, Emma, well, I will talk about it right now. Thank you for your honesty. How you will know your ideal client is by creating a client avatar. There are many persons who find this step as non-essential. Some find it frustrating. Some can't see the sense in it. But it is absolutely essential. I wish I brought my shoe here. When I shared in my the webinar, I did a masterclass 2 weeks ago. And I shared the Adidas brand. And from the time persons saw the brand, they knew it. They knew the brand. But one thing that gave Adidas success wasn't just their marketing, was that from the onset, he knew who was his ideal client. He was going to provide the best sportswear for athletes. Even though we buy it as dress shoes, I use it for exercise, to go jogging. I like to have the branded shoes to go jogging because, it's important for your form and cushioning your feet, etc., etc. But he knew who he was serving. So that's why it's absolutely essential to drill this step down to identify who do you serve. Who is your ideal client? And I'm going to present some things for you to consider. I won't leave you hanging to create your own avatar. And some of the things to consider. Let me just run through it here. So you want to consider, and before I even list this, I'll tell you another reason why this is important. When you have your coaching business, you will be designing freebies, as they call it, giveaways, maybe a free report, maybe online training, even a webinar you'll design. You want to sell products. If you don't know who you serve, what happens is that clients will not buy from you, and you will find yourself creating product after product and training after training, and no one buys from you. Thank you, Quinette. Yes, thank you. Like the SWOT, and you were referring to the previous step with how you help persons, what do they come to you for, just like a SWOT. Thank you. Yes, so you will be creating free reports that persons don't download. You will be creating live training that people are not captivated by. You'll be creating programs that persons don't buy because you're not serving your ideal client. So you have to get this right. You have to know who your ideal client is. I have a notebook called Avatar. So for instance, I recently created a product called Smash 5, which I'm going to launch, and that's for the weight loss. And I did an avatar for it. So you find when I was writing my sales copy for the product, that came out of my avatar. Do you struggle with losing weight? Have you tried? Because that's what keeps her up at night. What keeps her up at night, my avatar is a female. What keeps her up at night is that she's tried everything and nothing seems to be working. Or if she just loses 5 kilos, she gains 10 and she's tired of it. It's frustrating for her. So you have to know your ideal client. You want to know how they think. So you want to know what their values are. You could write that down. You draw a stick person. You know, there's a mastermind that I belong to, and she said you draw a stick person. She does it that way. But it doesn't matter how you do it. Some persons, another person, what's his name? He's the author of Rethink Social Media. I can't remember his name right now. What he does is he prints somebody off from the internet. So who your avatar is, what you want them to look like. You give them a name, female, male, John or Mary. You give them a name. You give them an age. You give them values. You give them beliefs. You give them their occupation. What is it that they do? How many children they have? Do they have a car? Do they have a mortgage? You're creating a whole story. What's their profession? What's their income level? What's their marital status? And most of all, what keeps them up at night? What are their fears? What are their goals? What are their dreams? My friends, it may sound simple, but believe you me, when you go out there and you buy a product, it's because they've studied you. They've studied you and they've created an avatar. And you know, and they understand that, okay, this product will attract this type of person. She or he, for instance, she or he has been, they have had the business for 5 years, but they have not been making much revenue, and they don't feel like they're an expert. They're afraid. They're an introverted person. They're afraid of putting themselves out there. So they've created a visibility program for you. Does that make sense? Do you see where I'm coming from? You can type in the chat if it makes sense, if you can see where I'm coming from, why the avatar is important. Another thing I'll share with you before we move on to the next step, why the avatar is important. I'm taking this from Charles Duhigg, or Duhigg, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, The Power of Habit. And I want you to hear this. Now, how many of us, even in my supermarket where I live, when you go into the supermarket, the first thing that is presented in the supermarket are the fruits and the vegetables. True? Is that the same for you, generally? But typically up here in the UK, the majority of supermarkets, as you enter, whether it's Tesco's, whether it's Lidl, whether it's Asda, Farm Foods, generally, my dear, there's the fruits and the vegetables first in the supermarket. Now, this is because psychologists and marketers have recognized something. There's a strategy behind it. Now, the strategy is not that because they want it to be healthy. Their strategy really is that they've observed that if the individual were to take the melon or the buttersquash or the vegetables first into their basket, they will be more likely to buy the Doritos and the pizza later on because that has satisfied their virtuosity. And I'll read this quickly. I won't read everything. Now, the first thing you see upon entering a grocery store are fruits and vegetables arranged in attractive, bountiful piles. Now, it doesn't make sense because fruits and vegetables bruise easily at the bottom of the shopping cart. And logically, they should be situated by the registers as you come to the end of your trip. But marketers and psychologists found out a long time ago, if we start our shopping sprees by loading up on healthy stuff, we're much more likely to buy Doritos, Oreos, pizza when we encounter them later on. The burst of subconscious virtuousness that comes from first buying butternut squash makes it easier to put a pint of ice cream in the cart later. They are studying their customers. And I close that step with that understanding. That they are studying their customers. And that is why it is absolutely essential to know your ideal client. Are you with me? Did you get that? So you want to know their goals, their dreams, their pain points, their fears, their interests, their values, what keeps them up at night. Give them a name. So whatever you're going to do in your coaching business, when you're writing up a report, when you're designing a training, you're designing it to satisfy those pain points. Thank you, Kadia. Thank you. And you can't have more than one avatar because I do different avatars for different products. Because if you're meeting a different problem, you must create a different avatar. Have you ever read something on Facebook? Because I have an advertisement for a free training or something. And when you read it, it's like, wow, that sounds like me. Yes. Or you just keep saying yes. Have you ever? Yes, yes, yes. It's because they've created that avatar. They know the ideal client and everything is written. All copy is written with that in mind, that it responds to your needs. Let's move on to step number 4. Let me just have a drink of water and I look at the comments. Okay. Thank you, Quinette said that's brilliant thinking. Indeed, it's absolutely necessary. So step number 4 is visibility. You committed, you've identified your big why. You know how you're going to help your ideal client, the problem that you will solve. You know your ideal client, you have a better understanding of who you're going to serve. Now you want to get visible. You want to get visibility, you want to gain authority, and you want to gain credibility. And this takes time. And in order for you to be successful at that, I'm going to quote something by Robert Cialdini. He's the author of Influence. And he says, there are 2 words, commitment and consistency. Let me see if I can find his quote. Because I'm speaking without notes here. I have my notes on the side, but I'm really speaking without notes. But he says, it's 2 things. It's commitment and consistency. So when you talk about visibility, you want to get persons to make a commitment and you want to be consistent. But before you do all of that, what I've recognized, a lot of people run and they start the blogs and they start the YouTube videos and they design trainings and they write reports and they do all of this, but they haven't gotten clarity on the message that they have. And because of that, the ideal client is not downloading the free report because you have not yet clarified your message. So tonight, before we even talk about visibility, I have recognized this for my own self, that I had to stop and clarify my message. Before we even talk about visibility, I want to stress the importance. Underneath visibility comes clarifying your message. And your message it stems from the previous step 2 and 3. Right? And that's why I had step 2 and 3 before. Now you're going to see the system behind it. To clarify your message, I want you to, and I'm getting to it here, what Donald Miller refers to as a one-liner. Now, this one-liner, what it does is it captures, and you've seen this a lot on LinkedIn, it captures your ideal client, it captures the problem, it captures how you help them, and the result that they will get. So before you even think about going out there and produce all those videos and you have not had clarity on your message, you're still going to confuse your ideal client that they will hop over and go to your competitor. So you need to clarify, write that down. You clarify your message, and you clarify your message by saying what you do, how you do it, who you serve, and the result that they will get. And I'm sure you've seen this before. I use it myself in my own business. You can fill in the blanks like this: helping dash to dash so dash. We helping busy mothers to lose 30 pounds in 16 weeks so that they can feel more confident and more energized. Helping unemployed persons to find the right career through a step-by-step process so that they can live a more fulfilled life. So clarify your message. Helping dash to dash so dash. So you're helping who you're helping, and that's why you had to clarify who you served before. To do what? To solve what problem? What is the problem that you're going to solve for them so that they can have what? What is the outcome that they will have? That's your one-liner. Now, whenever you're getting visible, whenever you're out there, you're using that one-liner. Thank you, Emma. Emma says avoid surface answer. You're absolutely right, Emma. You spot on. You're avoiding that surface answer because, and that's why the tips that I've been giving and the instructions I've been giving would help you to dig deep so that your client has clarity on who you're serving, how you do it, what problem you solve. Then you get visible. Now, to get visible, what I'm going to share now, when I shared that in the masterclass, this was one of the takeaways for many persons. This was valuable for them because of the perception that they had before. You don't need to be on every platform, right? So choose one platform or two platforms to start with. Choose two platforms to start with. But in choosing those platforms to start with, it's essential that you choose platforms, not what you think, not what you like, but where does your ideal client hang out? Where does your ideal client hang out? So for instance, when I had run a couple Facebook ads before, I found that persons between 35 to 55, I had a greater percentage of following of persons that age. And persons 45, 50, they don't like Instagram, they're Facebook. Even 65, 60 follow me a lot as well. They're on Facebook. If you have a business where your ideal client is the younger generation, perhaps it's Instagram. If you have a business where your ideal clients are professional individuals, you're going to look at LinkedIn. So you need to, that's why it's important, I had stressed before, knowing your ideal client, where they hang out. And once you know where they hang out, then these are the platforms that you choose. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Pinterest, you choose only two platforms for you to get visible. And in getting visible and in being seen as an expert, once you have that one-liner, when that potential client listens to you, there's clarity. They know what you do. There's no confusion. Because remember what Donald Miller says, the greatest enemy for business is noise. And sometimes the noise, like he says, comes from our own business because there's so much confusion. It's clear. That is very important. So that's your step number 4. What did you think of that step? While you're typing your answer, if you have any questions, feel free to insert it in the comments. I will answer them as we go through or at the end of the training. So let's move on to step 5. The step 5 is designing your coaching program and creating an irresistible offer. Now, you're lucky to be here because my list didn't get the first aspect, So I'm going much more in depth than I would have provided to my list this week. Designing your coaching program. Now, when designing your coaching program, my friends, here is something I want you to consider. I was reading a book recently. I can't remember who was the author, but he was saying that one of the biggest problems that businesses make is that they present themselves as the hero. And even I am re-evaluating my business to see if it's something that I am doing that I can change it at the moment. They're presenting themselves as the hero, but your client is the hero. What you and I are as coaches, we are the guide. They are the hero. They are the ones that matter. That's why you want to know what is the problems that keep them up at night, not what we think their problems are. They are the hero. They are the ones with the problem. You are their guide to help them to get to the other side. So you're designing your coaching program with that in mind. And once you design your coaching program with that in mind, here's what I want you to do. Are you with me? Just give me a thumbs up if you're with me. The new Facebook platform is very, very, very different. So yes, great. David is with me. Welcome, David. So when you designing your coaching program with that in mind, that your client is the hero, you know what will happen as a result? What will happen as a result is that you will focus on the outcomes. A lot of coaches design their coaching programs, and then when they get out there, they talk so much about the process. People don't care about the process. They care about the outcomes. What are you going to do for me? How are you going to help me? Thank you, Sasha. Thank you for the thumbs up. How are you going to help me? They care about the outcomes. So you're going to design your coaching program with that in mind. So the first thing in designing your coaching program, 1, remember your client is the hero. 2, you focus on the outcomes, the results that you will get for your client. Now 3, here is what I want you to do now. What you will do is you write down the steps that your client needs to take to solve the problem that you would have discovered in step 2 and 3 above. So for instance, if you were to use a weight loss example, you discovered that Sheila is your avatar, and Sheila has just been having a yo-yo ride with her weight loss journey. And her weight really keeps her up at night. Why? I'm not picking on anyone because I was overweight twice in my life. It's because I can just get this example quick off my head, because of time. But it keeps her up at night because she has kids and she's unable to play and move along with her kids, and her kids, they're doing everything for her, and she wants to feel alive again and she wants to play with them again. So that's why losing weight is her biggest goal right now. So what are the steps that Sheila will need to take? Sheila is the hero. She can lose the weight. She just needs a guide. And Sasha, Emma, David, Kadia, Quinette, you are the guide. Esh, Tamika, all of you who said you're interested in launching your coaching business, you are the guide. You are the guide to get Sheila to solve that problem. So what steps would she now need to take to solve that problem? And you write those steps down. If it's 10 steps, if it's 12 steps, if it's 16 steps. And that's why you see some people have coaching programs. It's 4 months long. And every week you cover a different step. 16 steps. Some people have coaching programs. It's 12 weeks long. And every week you cover a new step. It's 12 steps. And you write down the steps that client will need to take to solve that problem. So if we want to get Sheila to lose the 20 pounds, what are the steps that she needs to take in order? Do you want to start with her mindset first? Why? How did she get to this point? Then we want to have a checking, a self-evaluation. What is her current situation? You want to examine her lifestyle, her exercise routine, her eating habits, her nutrition, and you write down all the steps. And this is just for example purposes. And there you have the steps to your coaching program. But let me encourage you right now by saying, you got this. You can do it. Do this. But it's important that you don't create. There are coaches who would say, create your coaching program. I wouldn't advise you to create everything, because you could change your steps as you fill up your coaching program and your coaching program is running and you recognize that your clients have a really critical need. You could probably include that in the steps. And maybe you were going to do nutrition for weight loss next week, but you recognize that all your clients are struggling with just strength training or eating, with overeating, emotional eating, and they decide, hey, we're going to do emotional eating. Maybe do this one later on. So what's essential is that you design your coaching program and you design it in such a way where at the end you're creating an irresistible offer. You have to have your unique selling proposition. What is unique about you? Why your client, your potential client, should buy from you? What's unique about you? Is it that you offer great value because you have 10 years of experience in HR, 10 years of experience in counseling and psychology? Is it that you're authentic and you're consistent and you've helped how many persons before and you have the testimonials to show it? Is it that your price is better than your competitor and they get great value at such a low price? You have to identify what is unique about you. So write that down. What is my unique selling proposition? What is unique about me personally? What is unique about my business? And that will give you the competitive edge. And now you create an irresistible offer. Now there's something I believe about irresistible offer. It starts from the very beginning. It starts, there is the quote with Robert Cialdini. I only now found it. He talks about the connection between consistency and commitment. Yes. So it starts from the very beginning. So from the first time that your ideal client has seen your video on YouTube, or read a post on LinkedIn, or watch your Instagram video, it started from there, the connection. And with that connection from there, you start with they're seeing you consistently. You be consistent in what you do. You show up and you do what you do. And when you're consistent and you show up and you do what you do, your client will eventually make that commitment, because you want to build that know, like, and trust factor. They have to trust you before they can buy from you. They have to believe that you can actually help them. You can actually guide them and give them the results that they want. That you can actually help them to produce their first book if you're a book coach. Then when you've designed your coaching program, you're going to create that irresistible offer. And I'll give you 7 elements of an irresistible offer. I know I've had you for almost an hour, so we're almost done. Is that this, and you're lucky because this is my first masterclass ever without slides. Yes, so you're lucky tonight because I'm just going with it. The 7 elements of an irresistible offer is, number 1, that it solves a pain point. And that's why it's essential, when I said in the beginning, that you identify the problem that you will solve, not problems. So you don't solve, I work with languages and I solve communication and I solve intimacy problems and I solve, what else can we say? Communication problems, intimacy problems, financial problems. No, one problem. What is the one problem? So your offer, it will be irresistible if the client can see you solve that specific problem. And that offer is clear. That's the second point. It must be clear. It must also have, how to put it? You know, like when you're creating your offer, you try to predict what are some of the rejections that people may have or objections that people may have. What may prevent them from buying your product? What may prevent them from joining your program? So when you create your offer, it responds to those objections. Have you ever clicked on a sales page, and when you reach at the end, they're saying, if you're still on the fence, we do have a guarantee of XYZ, or they might say something like, you're wondering if they're answering your possible objections. And that's what's making the offer irresistible. So you try to predict what some of those objections or rejections would be in creating your product, and then you answer that in designing your sales page. And you also, to make your offer irresistible, you add value. You give them bonuses. So some of the things that I do, for instance, if I want these types of training, you keep the training so you can give them as a bonus. Because you're giving them value. You want to give them added value. You design workbooks or worksheets. You have had interviews with other coaches, other clients, whatever. These are all beneficial bonuses to clients because they're getting value from it. It can transform their life, whatever your focus is. Now, the last thing I want to say in creating an irresistible offer, the last 2 points, 6 and 7, is you want to put an element of urgency or exclusivity. So it's a limited time offer. You need to grab this price of $19.99 now, because by Friday it will increase to $199. And that's why you see some offers do that, because they're creating that element of exclusivity and urgency. Or your offer can be irresistible because you're offering a bonus. Right. So that's how you create an irresistible offer. Step 6. Step 6 is giving value for money. It's extremely essential, and I stand by this. You be authentic, and everything that you do, you give value for money. I've heard some coaches say that you don't give too much. Some advise that. And there are some who tell you, give everything. And I go with those who say, give everything. Give it your all. Because really and truly, if someone wants to work with you, there's nothing that they can, because you've given them everything, doesn't mean that they won't want to work with you, because them working with you is actually you being their guide in the process. So you could hold them accountable. Does that make sense? So give it your all. So when you're designing your training program, when you're designing your free webinar, when you're designing your product, you put yourself in the client's shoes. If I were to buy this product, if I were to see this product the way you've designed it, would I buy it? Have I over-delivered? And these are some of the questions I ask myself. Would I pay for this? Or I look at it and I say, how could I make it better? How could I improve it? Because you want to give them value. I think I did put an hour when I was setting the agenda event time. So we're almost done. We're on step 6 and then 7. So you want to give them great value, and you can ask yourself some of these reflection questions to ensure that everything you're doing, you're creating great value for your potential client. I believe in that, giving value for money. It doesn't matter if the product is at $4.99, $11.99, or £997. No matter the price, give value for money. Always give value for money. And start off by giving value for free. Start off by giving value for free as much as you can. And then that will happen. You will get paid for doing what you love. And the last step, which should have been number 1, but I purposefully put it at number 7, is developing that success mindset. Becoming a coach, you need to develop that mindset, because it is a mindset. Where you ever see when you've been an employee working 9 to 5, and now you've become an employer, or now you've become self-employed, and it's a different mindset, because you have to be doing everything yourself. You have to learn. You have to have the marketing hat. You have to have the accounting hat. You have to have the business development hat. You have to wear different hats when you're self-employed or an entrepreneur. So it's also a shift in mindset. And this is absolutely essential. Because if you have a negative mindset, When you have to sell your programs, you want them with confidence. Absolutely, Emma. Mindset growth. Absolutely. Spot on. If you have a negative mindset, your appointment book will not get filled up. If you have a negative mindset, you'll make all the wrong decisions. If you have a negative mindset, your money blocks will be a hindrance to you making progress in your business. If you have a negative mindset, your fears will prevent you from getting out there, becoming visible. So you have to pay attention to your mindset. What is your current mindset? What are some of the limiting beliefs you have about entrepreneurship? What are some of the limiting beliefs you may have about money? I remember the very first time I had to talk money. I was going to host my first webinar. And my dear friends, I juggled within me. I prepared two sets of training. One set called full training. Even the persons weren't going to buy because it was my first one, but one with the training and the offer, one without the training, without the offer, sorry, but the training. And I was sure I was going to go with the one without the offer. And I had a fellow coach, two fellow coaches at the time, we were accountability partners. They said to me, no, Melissa, make the offer. Why? Because you just want to get into the habit, develop the confidence of selling. And I realized I had my money blocks to break then. So that's why mindset matters. There's a saying that 90% of the success happens in your mind. 90% of success happens in your mind. So you have to get rid of that negative mindset. Identify what your limiting beliefs are. What's been holding you back since this time? For Emma, for Sasha, for Kadia, for Tamika, for Esh, and the different persons who said that for David Gala, for Kaliza Cruz. What have you been holding you back all this time from starting your coaching business? What have been holding you back all this time from becoming self-employed or having it as a side hustle? You've always had the passion. What has been holding you back from making those videos and putting yourself out there? What has been holding you back from beginning to help your clients for free so you can get some testimonials? What has been holding you back? Write that down. What has been holding you back? You know, there's something I learned from a coach, and other coaches share this as well. It's a little ritual, but I rename it to letting go of the crap. You write down all those things that are holding you back, and then you burn it. And after you burn it, you dance to your favorite song, and then I get my journal, and I write positive things in my journal. There are some who would advise you write out the negativity, write it out in your journal. But I believe you want to make your journal a safe place. So when you see it, you associate it with feelings of happiness, of encouragement, of inspiration. So that's why I support the burning the negativity and writing the positivity in the journal. Writing what you want your life to be like, writing your goals and your dreams. So you could do that little ritual and let go of the crap. Write out all those limiting beliefs. Write out all those things that have been holding you back and burn them and do the dance. Right, so there you have it. These are the 7 steps. And I could talk a lot more about conversion and all these things, but I believe none of these things matter if you don't get these 7 things drilled down. You're not committed, or you're not clear on your why. You don't know how you help clients, or you know how you help clients, but it's a whole paragraph. I've read some person's introduction on how they help clients, and it's a whole paragraph. It's confusion. When your potential clients see, they see noise. You want to solve a bleeding neck problem. So you have to know your ideal client, know what keeps them up at night, and identify that problem that you will solve. Develop your one-liner, get visible. Choose only 2 platforms, 1 or 2 platforms to begin with, to master. You want to learn to master it. You design your coaching program in doing so, because you don't need to wait to design a coaching program to then get visible. Start getting out there, sharing your message, sharing your story, helping your clients for free while you're developing your coaching program, or the content. You develop just 1 week or 2 weeks content, or your free report that will get them onto your list. And we could do another training on list building. So you develop your coaching program, you create an irresistible offer, and be sure that you're giving value for money. Go all out and give. The law of reciprocity, it will come back to you. Does that make sense? Let me know what you think of the training. If you want to ask any questions, I give you 2 minutes to type in any feedback you may have. Did you find it beneficial for you in giving you great insight and clarity on starting your own coaching business, Kadia, Sasha? Or what was your one takeaway from today's training? This was a special masterclass. What was your one takeaway? Oh, thank you, Emma. Thank you. Emma says she loves my zeal. Is it zeal? Thank you, Emma. I'm very passionate about what I do. Quinette says the mindset. Thank you, Quinette. The mindset is her greatest takeaway. Thank you for sharing. So while you're typing that in, I said I did have a special client offer, and this is if you want to go further, the open door to go deep inside. Thank you, Emma. Absolutely. And you go deep inside, Emma, and then you come out with great clarity. And you find you clear on your message, your client is clear on your message, eventually people will reach out to you and want to work with you. So my special client offer, if you do want to go further, if you're interested in going further with me, this week I'm trying to open the link because I don't have it here on the computer. I'm launching my Fast Track online program. So this program, I'll put the link in the comments, and I'm offering it at a ridiculously low price for all that we will cover. It's a very great deal. So the Fast Track online program is where I will work with you for 8 weeks to launch your coaching business. And the whole aim is to have all the pieces in place. So you design your coaching business in 8 weeks. You'll showcase your expertise and engage with your clients. And above all, you develop that right mindset and the right attitude and the right confidence. Now, ideally, I should be selling this for £997, but I have reduced it significantly. So this time around, we're offering it for £197. So you could grab the offer. For 1 week, it will be open, and we'll be covering things like finding your niche, your eyes on your ideal prospect, connecting with your ideal client, how to find your tribe, because a lot of coaches, what they suffer with is finding their tribe and building their list, and this is important. So we'll be covering all that. We'll be developing your coaching program, and we'll be talking about the difference between process and results, showing you how to structure your sessions in such a way that you focus on results. Because if you focus too much on process, your client will not be transformed. Process doesn't transform them. The process is the how-to. It's the results that transform them, the outcomes you want them to get. The process helps them. It's the how-to get to that outcome. That's what your client is interested in. We'll be covering visibility, how to master your message, how to get visible, how copywriting and keywords, creating a marketing campaign. We'll also be looking at the money mindset, and this one matters, trust me, because when you do get into that shoes, you realize, hey, I have money blocks. And it's okay to talk about money because you know that you're offering people value. And that was one way that I look at it. I look at it as this. So I had one of the masterclass I gave, I had a photo of someone holding someone's hand like this, helping them up. You helping that client. The client is that hero that needs to be saved, and you are their guide. And they're paying you to do so. And you giving them great value. Take it very seriously. And that's why I started off the training as responsibility as a coach. Your responsibility as a coach, holding them accountable, being their guide, being their biggest cheerleader, motivating them, and in helping them to get to that other side. And sometimes money is one of our biggest blocks. So we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about how to price your offer, how to create that irresistible offer, even streams of income. Because you have to have different streams of income if you want to really make a living from it. And we'll be talking all about launching your strategy. Now, if you join, you also get lots of bonuses. So I have checklists, templates, and worksheets and workbooks that you will get throughout the training. I also have a 1-hour group demonstration session as a bonus where we go and we work on the technical side. So if you find you're not good at WordPress or designing your sales page, a lot of people need help with that. I'll be doing that. We'll be doing a demonstration session. You get unlimited email access to me for the 8 weeks. You get access, you're already in the Success Coaching Academy. These are for persons who are new. You get the time management mastery training. That's one of the training that people seems to love. So you get that time management mastery training and all the bonuses that are in that training, which is the right and wrongs of the things to do list, the productivity tips, and I could go on and on. But the whole value of this is £3,055, and you only get it for £197 if you join before it closes. Because when I do offer it the next time around, I will increase the price. So that's your opportunity. If you wish to join, the link is there. And we start within 1 week. We start the program. And within 8 weeks, you can have your coaching program, your coaching business in place, and be confident about how you get invisible, growing your list, be seen as an expert, and exactly what is it you're doing, what your passion is. Everything will be coming from a place of passion. So let me have a look at the comments. So Kadia said, great information. Thank you, Kadia. Very valuable. Sasha said, for me, it was a reminder to follow through with some of my goals. I already have my own practice. However, I need to do some more work on increasing visibility. Very good, Sasha. Very, very good. And we will be doing another training on that if you wish, Sasha, where we can go deeper just on the visibility aspect, because it's a lot. You know the visibility with clarifying your message, and that's the first step. And that's why we touched that first of all. And there's more, of course, that follows. But that's great, Kadia. It's good that it reminded you, so I know that you will follow through and you'll get back on track. Sasha, sorry. Kadia said her biggest takeaway is knowing her big why. Wonderful, Kadia. Wonderful, because the big why is what will drive you. So if you haven't found it yet, don't beat yourself up. Now is the right time for you to dig deep. You dig deep and you find out what's my big why. And remember, it has that client element and it has that personal element. So you find it comes from that place of passion on both sides. David said it was very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, my darling. So I want to thank you guys for being here throughout tonight's training. I'm really happy for the feedback because this was my first training without slides, my first masterclass. I mean, I've done Facebook Lives, but they're typically just, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But this was a masterclass that I wanted to do and really go deep and dig in for persons. And I'm glad that you received it well and you appreciate the value that you got. And before I go, so if you're interested, check out the Fast Track online coaching program and sign up. I hope to see you on the other side. Bye for now, everyone. Have a good evening.